Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome and thank you for attending today's webinar. And thanks again for joining us today. My name is Hannah Macaron, and I'm the Business Development Manager at InUni Global, and I'll be today's host. Okay, and I just want to introduce our two guests who are going to be walking us through today's story. First of all, we have Mark Motos, and Mark is an alumnus of the University of Akron, where he earned his Bachelor's of Science in Biomedical Engineering. Mark's journey started all the way from Egypt to Saudi Arabia, all the way to the University of Akron. And now he started from a student to a working engineer, and is exactly the path we know many of you are considering. And he's here today to share what that journey looked like firsthand. So welcome, Mark. Ahlan wa sahlan. How are you today?
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And now I'd love to introduce Marty. Marty Bennett is a director of international recruitment and engagement at the University of Akron. And Marty works directly with international students throughout their journey and through Akron. And he'll be able to speak to the bigger picture of what Akron offers our students. So welcome, Marty.
Thank you, Hannah. Great to be here.
Thank you for joining us today. Hope you're doing great today. So, all right. So just before we start, I just want to highlight some quick notes that first of all, this session is recorded and anyone who registered will be receiving a recorded session afterwards. Okay. And if you do have any questions, do feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. And throughout the end, we're going to make sure to go through your questions one by one. All right. So Marty, over to you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Great to be with you all. And thanks for being a part of the conversation today. And I know many of you, as you look at colleges and universities in the United States or other countries, one of the things you're thinking about is, hey, what's it like? What's it going to be like for me if I go to this university and graduate? What's next? And as a graduate of a particular school, and that's why we're here today, is to kind of give you the proof of the pudding, as we like to say. What we do at the University of Akron in particular is focus on providing our international students a comprehensive end-to-end, beginning-to-end journey from the time they first inquire about us as a university to the time they become successful graduates like Mark, to help provide them the level of service that they need that recognizes and appreciates the differences that they bring to our campus and the guidelines that they must abide by while they're students. And that's an important part of an international office's duties. And we have a great team at UA that provides these resources. And we've been acknowledged for that, being recognized in the top 10% of universities for international student commitment through our international services, through our international center. We do have a very strong focus on STEM fields at the University of Akron through our polymer engineering and other different engineering and research infrastructures. We've got 30 different centers and institutes that students can begin doing research with, and Mark will highlight some of that from his experience as undergraduates. But really, when you're looking at universities, you're focusing on, hey, what's next? What am I going to get out of my experience? And am I going to get a job? Am I going to get trained for the right kind of career I'm looking for? And that's proof, again, that we do this. 94% of our graduates are achieving positive career outcomes within their field of study, either through employment like Mark had, or being engaged in further study in their field. And 94% of our graduates are doing that within 6 months of graduation. Part of the reason they're able to get those jobs, those first jobs or further graduate study right out of college is because we do focus on experiential learning for all of our undergraduates. We offer them to everybody, but 89% of our graduates are doing this real world practical experience in their field of study before they graduate. And that's such a vital tool to help preparing you for not just that first job, but for your career, for your life, developing those other skills that help you become a truly successful graduate of our institution. That support that we're talking about is making sure you have information on how to write a an accurate CV for you when you start applying for jobs, resumes, or curricula vitae, as we say in academia? Are you ready for the interviews that you're going to have to do to get those jobs? Are you ready for what an internship or a job fair means for you as an international student? So we help prepare you for those steps. And that beyond the assistance for getting graduation, getting towards graduation and jobs, we also help through the housing process, making sure as an undergraduate you have ability to live on campus as a first year student, but also finding an on-campus job for your first couple of years before you do your internships. All of these are things that can matter and really help you along the way and generate what we call a cost-effective, high ROI, return on investment degree experience. Next slide, please. And where we do that is in the city of Akron. It is a Midwestern city in the northeast corner of Ohio, about 45 minutes from Cleveland, and that's where the largest international airport is to our campus. But we're 2 hours from Columbus, 45 minutes from Cleveland, a couple hours from Pittsburgh. So major metropolitan areas and employers in those cities are readily available for you for not only internships locally for students in the city of Akron, but also jobs after graduation within a larger driving time. So the campus environment, we're right on the edge of downtown, and that provides access to what a downtown of a mid-sized city is, about 200,000 people in the city of Akron. Our campus is over 200 acres just across the valley from the downtown area, very easily accessible, and certainly the campus itself has many advantages that we'll get to talking about as Mark gets through his presentation. So that's all I have for you right now. I'll be available for questions afterwards, but we're going to turn it over to the star of the show, Mark Marcus. And Mark, please take it from here.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Marky,
much,
so
Marty.
much. Let's go on. Mark, we'd love
Cool.
to hear your story.
Yeah. Happy to get a chance to share my story with everyone here today. So I'm Mark Marcos. I originally from Egypt. I grew up in about 15 minutes away from the pyramids, and then I moved to Saudi Arabia with my parents in 2010. And I spent the majority of my schooling in high school in Saudi Arabia, and then I moved to the United States in 2019 to attend the University of Akron for biomedical engineering. So it was quite the journey. Applying to schools abroad or colleges abroad is sometimes a can feel like a daunting task, especially if you don't really know where to start from. But one thing that helped me a lot was there was really a lot of resources available out there um, online and organizations that focus, kind of like in uni, that focus on helping students apply to colleges abroad and connect them with different schools and counselors. So in 2019, when I was ready to apply, I applied in several places around, mostly in the US, but also a couple places in the UK as well. And I was specifically drawn to UA for a couple of reasons. First, I had some familial ties. My brother lived in Cleveland, which Marty mentioned is about 45 minutes away. He did not go to the University of Akron. He went to another school in Cleveland. But looking at the schools in the area and reading the reviews and also checking, which schools had the better biomedical engineering programs. The University of Akron, consistently showed up in my searches, and so it was one of my top options in the region. Um, and above that, also, I had talked to a couple of counselors at the time when I was applying from different schools, and it really seemed like the University of Akron had a lot of focus on engineering and engineering programs. There were specific tracks for biomedical engineering, so you could specialize even further. They had focus on mechanics, biomechanics, which is like prosthetics and replacing limbs. They had a track on uh, chemical, like bio, I think it's called tissue engineering. So that's more for like pharmaceuticals and organ organ replacements. And the track that I ended up taking was instrumentation, which was focusing mostly on imaging devices, signals and systems, and kind of more the electronics background of medical devices, which was something that I was personally drawn to. Um, so I ended up choosing UA, and I moved forward with my application, and it was now looking back at it, I think it was the right decision for me. Next slide. So I moved here, as I mentioned, when I was 18, and although my brother was 45 minutes away, we didn't live together. I lived on campus for my first year. Um, and getting to Akron was, sometimes I was getting lost between all the different forms and the visa process and everything that needed to be completed. Um, my counselors in my school in Saudi Arabia were also not very familiar with the process. They had worked with a couple of cases of students that were trying to apply in the US, but it wasn't something that they did day in and day out. And um, sometimes I felt like I'm not sure if I'm going to get all the paperwork ready, but really the thing that helped me the most was connecting with an admissions counselor at the university and asking them to kind of help me guide the process. So they would send me the specific forms and they would tell me, you need to get this signed by your teacher or your counselor, or you need this before you can apply for the visa. So kind of really leaning on the school, which has some great resources to guide that process, I think is something that was very helpful for me. And I encourage everyone who's going through that process or slightly, getting overwhelmed with it, is to reach out to an admissions counselor directly and, lay out your specific situation, what you're looking for, the timelines you're trying to hit, and they will guide you to, here's when you need to take if you have to take like a standardized English exam or anything else, they will really kind of help you. They do this every day, and that's their job to help you. So, make the most out of them. Okay, so finding where I belonged. I think really the best part about Akron was very early on when I in my first semester when I joined. It didn't feel like, although there was a lot of fear involved, like moving out of moving away from my parents. Um, I was only 18 at the time, and it was, a big change for me, but it didn't feel like that big of a difference because of how many different international students were there and are there at the University of Akron. So it felt like I had a group of other students that also were experiencing the same thing. They also had moved away from their parents and their families, and we kind of all, banded together. We had a group of we had like a WhatsApp group chat that was for most of the international students were there. We would like share resources. And we would even like hang out together and sit down and study after our classes. It really helped kind of ease some of the fears that I had or some of the anxiety involved with moving to a new place. Um, I think the university does a really good job of, getting international students involved. So there's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of resources to help you kind of find something to fit into. So a couple things that I did early on in my freshman year was I joined an intramural soccer club. So for all my soccer fans, there's a huge soccer community in Akron. Akron actually is one of Marty, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is one of the best D1 schools for soccer. I think there was a year where we won the NCAA championship.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
finished eighth last year, top eight in the country last year. Yeah.
yeah. So that's like the biggest tournament for college soccer. So you can imagine, small city, but really having a lot of really long history and roots in some of these sports. Also, I joined a number of engineering organizations. So I was in a robotics club for a semester, and then I also tried a couple of different like biomedical engineering groups. So there's specific organizations that find like certain groups in the community that we can offer help to. I think one thing also that is great about Northeast Ohio is there's a very strong like hospital presence. So Cleveland Clinic, one of the top hospitals in the world is in, based headquartered in Cleveland, which has locations all across. And there's actually one downtown Akron, maybe 5 minutes from the school. So because of the presence of, these hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, university hospitals, as biomedical engineers, we got the chance to interact with physicians and, get some projects to work on. I remember in my freshman year, there was a student from the university who had gone through a really bad car accident and ended up losing their arm in the process. So we had a student organization called the Biomedical Engineering Design Team, and we spent a full semester designing a prosthetic arm for him, specifically for his case to fit his needs. So really getting having the ability to access these institutions like Cleveland Clinic or other areas, other universities in the area was a huge plus in my undergraduate career.
An amazing firsthand like experience you got to go through, not only like socially, but like educationally, like because like actually you got to like experience that hands-on. So that's a really cool story to tell. Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah,
Mark.
of course. Yeah, it was awesome, and I really commend the professors for the biomedical engineering department because they were always very like they were looking for those opportunities for us. So they would
Yeah.
tell us, "Oh, this came up. Are you guys interested?" They had very good contacts in the area, so they did
Yeah,
a great job at getting us connected.
I can tell they gave you guys many opportunities. So
Yeah.
that's great to hear. All right, proceed.
So I would, there was a lot of things that, looking back at it, were really like key points in my undergraduate career. But I really think if I had to pick one, I think the research that I had worked on in my undergraduate years was really influential in my journey in school and also outside of it. So, research, the university, being focused on a STEM, like STEM, so like science, technology, engineering, and math, there is some great like institutions within the university. So there's an Olson Lab Research Center, so that's where all the professors from engineering and other departments. They do research and they try to come up with new solutions to problems that face the world. We have the Goodyear Polymer Center, which is a huge research building for polymer industry. So one thing also that maybe people don't get about Akron is it is so Goodyear, Firestone, the biggest like tire companies in the world are headquartered in Akron. So a cool, neat fact is like people call Akron the rubber capital of the world. So all the tires on your cars or anything that you drive, somehow at some point, made it through Akron, or there was an engineer in Akron that worked, on developing that. So it is really a really kind of neat thing, but also it makes the university a really good place to do research for like rubber polymers, and coming up with solutions in that area. But the research that I personally did was not in the polymer industry. I focused more on, so I worked in a research lab that is, part of campus with a professor from the biomedical and mechanical engineering departments, Dr. Francis Loth. I joined his lab as a freshman, and he was working on treating a condition called uh, Chiari malformation. It's not very commonly known, but um, it's actually much more common than people think. A lot of people have that condition and walk around with it, and they don't know that they have that. It is um, characterized by having a brain that sits slightly lower in your skull. It's a genetic condition, so when the brain is sitting slightly lower than what it should be, um, it can put pressure onto the base of your skull, and any sudden movements like sneezing or coughing, or even, regular daily activities like walking can lead to a lot of pain in that area. And people sometimes think I just have a bad headache or they take pain medications for it, but it's really a tough condition because it really impacts the quality of your life. And at the research lab, what we were trying to do is to better find better ways to um, treat and also diagnose the condition because a lot of people went undiagnosed. So we're trying to come up with a list of, criteria to actually for someone to go to the hospital and be able to be checked against those criteria and diagnosed with Chiari or not. So we were working with professors from the university, but also physicians, neurosurgeons from Harvard, from um, other really big schools who were focusing on this particular condition. And my part in the lab was I joined as a freshman. I was working mostly in helping the lab come up with a new like machine learning coding system. So we wanted a way for us to upload the MRI images. So when you get an MRI of your head, we wanted a computer program that would take in those MRI images, scan them, make some measurements off of them, and tell us how low, like how far lower your brain sits. So it gives like a number, like 5 millimeters or 4 millimeters, and physicians can use that number to see, okay, is there a link between the symptoms and the actual brain MRI. Not to get too technical into details, but my point is, as a freshman in college when I was 18, I was really given the opportunity to work on some really cool things and that were happening. And the trust that I received from Dr. Loth and his lab and was something that I really did not expect. Most people who do research in the US are PhD students or even postdocs. So they've gone through 4 years of undergrad, sometimes 2 years of a master's, and then 4 years of a PhD. And those are really the most of the research industry is captured by people in that sense. So as an undergrad, as someone who's just fresh out of high school, I really did not expect to get that opportunity. But um, I think that also goes to show that coming to the U.S. and places like the University of Akron, if you were to put yourself out there and to really explore, hard work really gets rewarded, and it's a great thing to be in a place that has trusted people in their younger years to do work. Um, what came out of our research is, in my junior year of college, um, we published a research paper, and I was the first author on it. So it was my project, and we published it in a journal. It was collaborative effort between the University of Akron and Harvard. So we published that paper, and it really, what stood out to me was apart from the publishing the paper and all of that, but getting to meet real Chiari patients who struggled with that condition every day and did not have a solution to their pain, and to see what they went through and how excited they were to hear that people are working on their condition, like people are trying to find solutions to their problems. That was very touching, and I think looking back at it, this experience at the university it kind of solidified for me that biomedical engineering is the career for me, and that's where I want to keep growing and to never lose focus of the people side of things, that you can, no matter what you do and all the cool things you get to do, at the end of the day, going back to the person that is there's a person out there struggling or in pain or that could be benefited by something that you work on, and that is the most rewarding feeling.
That is what matters.
Yep. So, outside of the classroom, Akron is a pretty fun city. It's it's a smaller city, so um, the nicer part is you really get to kind of get to know people. Like if you're living there for 4 years, you're gonna run into people on a regular basis, and you're gonna make friends. You're not gonna feel overwhelmed by a campus that is, you know, 80,000 people. One cool thing that, it's just something that came on top of my mind. So in my graduation at the University of Akron, we had about 400 students in the engineering class. So there's a lot more students that graduate, but just in our engineering ceremony, we were 400. So they read each one of our names, and we got a chance to put like a slide on the monitor. Um, a couple weeks ago, I attended a friend of mine's graduation at Ohio State, and they have like 12,000 graduates. So no one gets their name called, and no one gets a chance to like, put a slide in there because if they do, it would be, it would take the whole week. So
They'd still be going on. Like graduation would
yeah,
still be running.
yeah, it's never gonna
No.
stop. So, uh, the nice part is you don't feel like you're just another number. You feel like you are, you get a chance in a smaller school. I think you get a chance to interact with faculty at a closer level. We do have like, the big lecture halls where there's 100 students, but those are mostly in your first year or second year in the classes that most majors take. But in your third year and your fourth year, you really get to kind of hone in into the specialty that you're studying, and you get to form really good connections with your peers and your professors. Um, Also, Akron is a big sports city, so LeBron James is from Akron. If you don't know that, he has a school, like a high school near campus, and he also has good ties with the university. So I think our school of education is called the LeBron James Foundation School. Marty can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, that's
But
it.
yep, so there's really good, tie to sports. If you're into, football, soccer, into basketball, there's always something to do. There's always events going on. In the picture on the right here, this is our mascot. So very, very fun kangaroo. If you ever run into him, it'll give you a big hug. Um, Zippy. And overall, I think it's a great place to be, especially if you're someone who might be fearing like moving to a whole new country, and it can feel overwhelming. I think Akron is a really good place to be with managing some of that stress, and it's a really good overall. The city is really there's a lot of amenities and opportunities. There's campus living, there's off-campus living, and there's accessible, very accessible areas. It's not, when I say a small city, I don't mean like it's like a village or
Middle of
suburban.
nowhere.
It's still a city. But yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that, like, besides playing soccer, I can see that you've also did internships. Am I correct? So
Yes.
besides the clinics, yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so that's also part of there is in the engineering degree, there is a track to get a degree with co-op, which what that means is that you graduate with a certain number of internships that you've completed. So the school really pushes you to kind of get co-op experience when you're in school because they know that that has a much higher, success rate of landing a job when you graduate. Um, so you'll find a curriculum kind of planned around it. So, a typical engineering degree, if you just look at coursework, it's 4 years. But they will actually lay out the plan for you as a 5-year plan with the understanding that, you're going to take a semester here to go get an internship and then come back to school and then go for another semester and then maybe you'll work on a summer semester. So they really as opposed to some other schools that some of my friends went to, sometimes getting an internship during school is a struggle because you are missing like a semester of studies, and that can push you back a whole year. Um, if you're not careful with how you plan your classes. But the really nice part is, Akron has that built into the program. So as long as you kind of follow, the general plan, oh, I'll take these classes before I go on an internship, take an internship, come back, then you're going to be able to graduate in 5 years. Um, I did a internship in my sophomore year. That's my second year of college, and I did it in a company that was downtown Akron, so just about 5 to 10 minutes from campus. Um, I landed that opportunity through the career fair. So the university has a career fair every semester. So there's a spring one and there's a fall one. And the career fair, they bring a huge number of companies from the area. And those companies, they're engineers. They come, or they're not just engineering companies, even other finance, business, any field. I was going to the engineering career fairs, that's why I remember it as engineering. But they bring those companies, and there's people there who literally will interview you. They'll take your resume on the spot, they'll ask you a couple questions, and they'll write some notes. And in the next couple days, if they like you, they'll reach out to you and maybe schedule another interview, um, and then you can get a semester internship. So I did an internship in I was a software engineering intern, which is slightly different from biomedical engineering, but it was at a company that did um, newborn screening, so genetic screening for babies. And it was still kind of in my field. I learned a lot. COVID hit when I was, in that internship, so it was good to have something that you could do remotely. So software is was nice in that sense. Um,
Mm.
but I also
Good
did
choice.
a yeah. I mean, I didn't know at the time. I didn't have
Good choice.
much money. Yeah. But I also did another internship in my senior year with the company that I actually ended up working at. So, my last year in college, I was applying for full-time positions,
Mhm.
and I didn't get a full-time position right away, but I got an internship at a company that was about 30 minutes away. I worked there for my last semester in school, and upon graduation, they hired me full time. So, and that's where I'm still working. So internships can be a great way for, to also get full time placement after college.
Definitely. Like, it's good that you highlighted that and encourage our upcoming students to take the internship seriously.
Yeah. Um, I think the really I think if I had to give, just a couple of advice from my journeys, um, I really think exposing yourself to challenges and not letting yourself uh, just do the things that you're comfortable doing um, is a huge thing in this time of your life, like in college, um, because you really don't know how much you're capable of until you do it. And you know, before joining the research lab or before taking my first internship, there was always the thought in my head, like, I am not ready for this. Like, I don't have enough classes. I didn't study enough, um, things to actually be meaningful. Um, and I always kind of like doubted, like, this experience is not going to go very well. But looking back at everything that I did, I think really the biggest thing was pushing through and choosing to do something despite that fear or that doubt. And I think as for everyone here, whether you choose University of Akron or another school, my takeaway would be wherever you go, put yourself in positions that you're not comfortable. Put yourself in challenging, um, you know, um, organizations, put yourself in challenging classes, take on more credit hours maybe than you think you can. If you think I can only, do 12, maybe try for a semester to do an extra class. And over the period of those 4 years, I think you'll be shaped as a human to realize like I am capable of much more than I thought I did. I could. Um, And I think that's huge. Um, the last slide, um, yeah, that was like my other piece of advice. I think at this time specifically, with all the news and things coming up, um, people can sometimes feel a little bit scared about, the United States and, getting a chance to stay here, after like getting a chance to get a job or to do, be part of, grow into your career and with all the news and the landscape that you hear. But I really think things happen, change very fast, but hard work and getting a opportunity to explore studying in the U.S. and explore opportunities here. I still think the United States is probably the best place in the world for research and development and engineering. The most of the companies that if you look at Apple, Google, Amazon, all headquartered in the U.S. And I still think th there is really uh, despite all the news and everything you hear, there's still opportunities for international students and people like myself through the university and even beyond. And sometimes it takes a little bit of pushing through. It takes a little bit of education, and it takes telling someone that this is my case. Marty mentioned on his second slide that you get like 3 years of um, STEM OPT employment. So that's something that not mo most people know. Um, Part of your like international visa to study in the US is you are allowed to apply and get a work extension period to work for up to 3 years after graduation if you are from a STEM field. And that's not sponsorship. That's nothing that the your employer is going to have to pay, for you to work. It is built into your program. It's just something that you need to apply for and do the paperwork for, and there's some rules and regulations around it, but it's doable. And I did that myself. And if you have any questions regarding that, I can definitely help. Uh, my point is there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of I still think there's a lot of places here and employers that are very happy with international students and getting them involved because they bring in a different lens and they bring in a different experience than other people. I encourage everyone to still explore, the U.S. and especially definitely University of Akron um, if what I mentioned kind of resonates with you or um, if you've looked at the area and you like it. I think there is a lot of opportunity still, and there's don't shy away from that because of the news and everything that you hear. I'm still here, so that's that's a plus.
Thanks for sharing that specific bit of advice, because like that's basically what America's built on. Inclusion, taking like the best of each world. And it's always going to be one of the top study destinations, no matter what. And as you said, you're still there, so
Yeah.
that's what matters.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for that. Now we have 13 questions, which I'm going to take you through, okay? So our first student asked which part of the application process was the most challenging?
Um, For me, the most challenging part was so there was a lot of like specific I think we needed like some letter of recommendations that had to be like applied through a specific system, and I didn't know how to like get the counselors at my school like to join the system because they didn't have access to it and to be able to submit the letter of recommendation on my behalf. Something like that is typically required is that like it's submitted directly through your counselor, so it's not like they can write you the letter, give it to you, and you just submit it. It was you had to go like they had to submit it directly. So for me, that was a challenging part, but figured it out. It was just like a login you needed to create, and you sit down with your counselor and kind of educate them like how to this is what I need. And if they have done it once before, they know it. So you might be lucky. In my specific case, we had a new counselor, and they weren't really familiar with the situation. There's also a couple of standardized exams. I don't know if they're still a requirement, and I could be wrong because things change after COVID. But at the time, I had to take the SAT and the like IELTS or TOEFL.
Yeah. Well, the
Just
And
a
I
English
quick
think,
exams are, yeah,
Yeah,
Marty.
just a quick update on that one. Yeah, we've since Mark applied back in 2019, we've actually eliminated the essay requirement, eliminated the recommendation requirement from counselors. So it's just English proficiency scores and then the application and the transcripts that we need. So very straightforward process for undergraduates. And if you've gone to an international school where English was the language of instruction, where if it's an IB school or a Cambridge school, an A levels IGCSE school, we would actually waive the English requirement in those cases as well. So it's very simple, just transcripts from your high school and the proof of English proficiency plus your online application. That's what we need. And that's through our partners at Uni now.
Yeah.
awesome.
So we've made like the students' lives easier once you got in. So for the upcoming
Yeah,
students,
yeah,
great to hear.
I yeah, I got the short end of the stick.
Yep. But you made it.
Yep.
All right. And now we have another student asking you, which I believe you already answered. Did Akron help you even before you were enrolled student?
Yeah, big time. I reached out to an admissions counselor. I believe her name was Denise at the time, and she was a huge help. Like she helped, guide me through the process. But also, I had taken some classes in like my high school, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure if they would count towards like any credit in college. She went through the whole process and reached out to like engineering advisors, and I actually ended up like skipping 3 or 4 classes in my freshman like year. So that's something I didn't even know that could be done, but she was a great help. So um,
Amazing. So yeah, both the staff and in uni team are here to make students' lives easier. Thanks for sharing that. All right, and now another student is asking, what was your biggest adjustment when you moved to USA?
um, it's a lot of things. So one, I lived in Saudi Arabia, one of the hottest places in the world, and then I moved here to Akron, and it snows, and like I'd never seen snow before, so it's like wow, like this is my, I'm gonna have to change my wardrobe and get some heavy jackets. But that was something new. Also, moving away from my parents for the first time was a big adjustment. Getting like my driver's license, stuff like that, getting everything set up. But it's doable. You have a lot of, especially if you find, a group of friends that are also, going through the same thing. You guys can, lean on each other, and the international office can help you connect with those people if you don't know how to. Um, so I think the first maybe semester is a lot of adjusting because you're getting used to a new place as anything, any change in the world. But you get the hang of it pretty easy. I think you'll be in a good place.
Exactly. So, don't mind if I ask, but like the friends you made the first year, were you all from like different nationalities, or did you like stick to a specific like group of like let's say Middle
Yeah.
Eastern?
No, they were from all over. Most of my friends were from South America. So they were some of them were from. I had a really good friend who was from Honduras, one from Venezuela, and one from Brazil. These were, my three closest friends, but uh, I'd also met a few like Arab students from in different organizations playing soccer and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people. It was not I was not just yeah. Most of
Mm.
my friends were from other nationalities.
Oh, so students will definitely meet people from all over the world going through the same experience.
Yeah.
All right, now we got another question for you asking you, did the university experience match your expectations before you arrived?
It's a good question. I I honestly didn't really know what to expect coming in. Like I had looked at I'd done a lot of research online about like what it how things you know how classes go and how things go. But I think coming out of high school, most of my focus was on classes. Like I was looking at the classes, like what is being taught in those classes and professors and stuff like that. I think maybe something that shaped the way that I think is your college experience. A lot of it is definitely a big part of it is your classes, but it's not just your classes. It's really the whole package. And like internships, like research opportunities, like organizations. And sometimes those things set you apart even more than just your grade in a class.
Mm.
So I think as you look at places and colleges like that, think of a full experience. What can you get out of this experience that 4 years from now, when you graduate, or 5 years, you will feel like you are a more prepared human for the career.
Good to know. Okay, so I think this question brings us back to the one prior. Did you experience any challenges connecting with other students at first once you arrived to campus?
Uh, Simple answer is no. And the reason is so as international students, the first thing you get to do is it's an orientation with all the other international students that are starting that semester. And in that orientation, it's a full day, at least in my time, it was a full day event. And we really did like a lot of like icebreaker activities. We like wrote things out about ourselves and like it kind of helps you, forces you to go and talk to people. And coming out of that like 1 day orientation, that's where I made like my first three friends and we had already like, exchanged our phone numbers and stuff like that. So I really can't say like I had to do a whole lot of work to make friends to
Make
start.
Right, good to know. So unless students are like not socializing or not getting out there, then like the key is to socialize and get out of your comfort zone.
And if you're not an extrovert, like don't feel like you're gonna struggle. Like I wasn't, and I most certainly was very shy, but you find another three introverted students and you make friends with them. So
Yep.
that's
You make it survive through
yeah,
college together.
yeah.
Awesome. And now someone's asking you if you met any students from your country while you were there.
Yes, there was. I think there was at least like three or four Egyptian students in engineering that I knew. Um,
Very Egyptian.
no one was in biomedical specifically, but they were in different years. I yeah, I met quite a bit of students from Egypt over there. And by the way, I'm still at the university. I'm studying my master's, so
Oh, cool.
technically you might run into me at some point. Yeah,
Good to know you got two Egyptians coming on the way.
awesome.
So, mm. And
Yeah.
now another student just asked, like, are there any Pakistani students? Mark, Marty, you have any clue?
Yes. Yeah, there's definitely Pakistanis on campus. We usually get about 4 or 5 new Pakistanis each year. So there's a nice little community there as well.
Hey, good to know. Our student here just wanted to know that. Now,
I think you're breaking up there, Hannah. Do you want to try that question again?
yeah, join.
So that question,
Uh,
Mark, was is there a limit to how many organizations you can join as a student?
yeah. No, not that I know of. It's pretty open, and no one's keeping track of how many organizations you're joining.
Thank
It's
you.
all about time management, right? You got to know your limits, what you can actually fit in a day.
Yeah.
So Hannah, I think is having some technical difficulty. So I'll just introduce myself just a bit. I'm Karina Delan, Senior Marketing Executive at Indeed. So, Mark, there is a question here. They're asking, was it challenging to begin research so early in your undergraduate studies?
So in terms of getting getting involved, there is like the general method is that you would reach out to a faculty member that is doing research, and you would ask them to meet or sit down and talk with them. And typically each research lab will have 1 to 2 undergraduate students, so it's something that they do on a regular basis. So it's just a matter of, are you a good fit for the lab and your interests match what the lab is looking to do. Whether, from a technical standpoint, it was challenging because I was doing things that I, never did before. So it was but back to the point of, it was a good challenge. Looking back at it,
Yeah.
I was being, I didn't have a whole lot of experience, especially just taking, freshman classes. But it was a good challenge for me because I learned a lot through it.
So that early experience in research, was it integrated in your curriculum, or is it that something you volunteered yourself into?
It is not like a requirement by any means to do research as an undergraduate student. It is one of those things that if you are interested in, it's an opportunity that's available. So some people, they'll reach out to a faculty member, they'll ask for, joining the lab, and sometimes it's a paid position and sometimes it's an unpaid position. So depending on the lab and its budget and how things are set up, every lab is different, so every professor kind of runs their program differently. But sometimes it's kind of like a campus job,
Oh,
or it's an experience that you volunteer to do.
thank you so much for that information, Mark. So Hannah is back here.
Yes, sorry
Uh,
about that. Technical difficulty. All right. So now moving on to the next question. A student wants to know, what's your most memorable experience outside the classroom?
Oh.
Hmm.
Um, hmm. There's a lot. I mean, if you're talking just general, there was one time, it was a crazy game, soccer game. The University of Akron was playing against Stanford, and we were down 2-0 until like the 90th minute. And we scored back-to-back goals. We tied the game, and we actually went to overtime and won it. And it was that day was one of the like yeah, craziest days in my undergraduate career. People were out in the streets like celebrating. Especially Stanford is a really good school for soccer too. So um,
Yeah. Sounds
yeah,
like a
so
World Cup moment.
it was a very cool experience.
Cool. Good to know.
Mm.
And okay. I'm not sure if you answered this, but are research opportunities accessible to international students, or does it depend on the program?
So as an undergraduate student, most likely, yes. It really depends on the lab. There's some very specific positions that are like paid for by the government that require like students that are domestic. But those are very,
Mhm.
specific positions for um, most of the opportunities in undergraduate were available to all students.
Okay. Okay. And here we go. What advice would you give students who want to make the most out of campus life?
Um, I think living on campus was a great help. Like having the ability to go to class and be able to attend organizations and then, walk back to your dorm. At the beginning, I was kind of, I didn't want to live in the dorm, and my brother was 45 minutes away, so I was like, maybe I could commute or whatever. But I really think living on campus was a big help because um, living and being able to stay on campus for a while and attend those meetings and engage in the campus life really gets you involved, as opposed to someone who just drives in, attends the class, and leaves. You're not gonna have the same experience.
Oh, definitely. Definitely agree on that. So another question is, which student organizations did you join?
I joined a lot. So my freshman year, I was just like trying, organizations after organization. Like I think I tried at least 8 different ones in my freshman like semester. But I think that's part of the journey is like you try out different organizations and you see what works for you, what you connect with, and what you don't. I eventually, towards the end, I kept up with three. So I was in the Biomedical Engineering Society. Um, which was a departmental organization. We did like conferences and stuff like that. And I was an Orthodox Christian Fellowship, so that was also part of campus. And the last one was like soccer, intramural soccer. So those
All
were just
right.
the ones that I kept up with.
Okay. Good to know. All right. So time is almost running up. So let's take one last question for Mark. Okay. So how does the university support students when they're facing like cultural or personal challenges besides academic?
Um, yeah. There is, specific like offices at the university, like student services and the international center that are designed for helping students who face challenges. So, um, you know, you'll very easily, if you run into something that you feel like you need to speak to someone about, you can easily go on their website and schedule like an appointment the same day or the next day, and you can go in and talk to someone. I had a couple of like not academic, but mostly like internship related like concerns that
Challenges.
I was part of, and I was able to very quickly connect with the international center who connected me with the right person to talk to, and my issue was resolved.
So good to know. So there.
Looks like
Sorry.
the
I
audio
think we
issues.
Yeah.
yeah, we lost Hannah again. That's fine. So before we wrap up this session, I'd just like to ask Marty and Mark any last message for our attendees in the MENA region.
Well, I just know from a university standpoint, working with our colleagues at INUNI, Hannah is on the ground in Egypt, and often and there are two or three other folks part of the INUNI team that actually go across the region visiting schools and events, and there'll be plenty of people on the ground to help support you before you arrive, as well as the folks on campus like myself and others in the International Center and the admissions office that will be there to help you along your journey, much like Mark enjoyed before arriving on campus. But Karina, I think what Mark needs to end with is the last question that Ibrahim asked, and
Ah,
how was the feeling on graduation day for you
yeah.
when you finished your undergraduate?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, getting like I think wrapping up the journey, especially was COVID was a big part of our undergraduate career, and it was something that caused a lot of changes for everyone in the world. Um, Getting to like spend that day with our professors. Like our professors all came up and like wore their gowns and they stood with us and took photos, and it was unmatched. I think feeling like accomplishing something, especially with everyone around you who's gone through their struggles, and getting to that day and having, if you can have your family there, that would be even make it better. But it was awesome. I look back to this day and have a lot of pictures and memories from that day. So. Um, yeah, but I wasn't done.
Like it so
I'd
much,
always
that's
told
why you're
them
coming
I'd be
back.
back.
Yeah, that's right. You want to do it again.
Yeah, of
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Mark.
course.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mark, for that. And we look forward to seeing you in Akron and all the students that attended today as well. So again, a huge thank you to Marty for giving us that picture of what Akron offers, and of course to Mark for so generously sharing your story with us. We really appreciate both of you for giving us the time to be here today. And to everyone who attended today, you'll be receiving a follow-up email with a recording of this webinar. Again, thank you all so much and have a lovely rest of the day. Bye.
Shukran. Salam. Bye.
Bye-bye.